Hey everybody, Tony D, Little Jones, asleep on the couch. It's late. We're going to bang through the rest of these news stories, see what's going on, and then call it a night. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Please check out my books. Links in the description. Most importantly, check me out on Bitchute or Rumble, especially today. I have a Bitchute and Rumble exclusive forbidden news I cannot talk about here on YouTube. One topic in particular. The theme of that video is news we kind of already know. But this is stuff we probably didn't know. Post-millennial, Pepe Le Pew gets left out of Space Jam remake. Is it a remake? I don't know if it's a remake, but it's the one with LeBron James I just talked about. While A Clockwork Orange droogs remain in the stands. I kind of thought I saw these guys, but I said, yeah, that can't be the guys from Clockwork Orange. They must be some other characters because they're not like distinct in the background of all the shots that I saw. And, you know, I didn't stop it on every one, but I mean, the droogs are a vicious gang of guys who beat the crap out of people and they end up killing a guy. It's a nasty movie, A Clockwork Orange. It's a great movie. I love it. It's one of my favorite movies. But the droogs are not appropriate for a children's cartoon. Now, you could argue that the kids aren't going to know who the droogs are, and they're in the shot, so, you know, that's okay. But Pepe Le Pew, you can't compare the two. First off, Pepe Le Pew is a cartoon character skunk. He's not a human being. The rules are not the same for him. But let's imagine that they are. What does Pepe do? He kisses the girls, and the girls get away from him. Okay? And you could say, well, it's sexual assault. I guess. Between cartoon characters, it's a joke. Okay? It's not meant to be taken seriously. I grew up with Pepe Le Pew, as did everyone of my age group. And nobody took it seriously. Nobody said, oh man, I can't wait to be Pepe Le Pew. I mean, it's a joke. He goes too far. So does Gomez Adams. So does the stereotypical French lover character. But you can't compare that to the droogs who beat to death a guy and do home invasions and are a criminal gang of miscreants. There's no comparison there. So if the droogs get in, at the very least, Pepe Le Pew should be on the sidelines. I mean, you could have done a reformed Pepe Le Pew, I suppose, if you really had to make it woke. But, you know, this is the hypocrisy of the people in Hollywood and in left politics. You know, this is okay. You know, a gang of ruffians who beat the crap out of people and kill them. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, no, it's all right. Nobody really knows who they are. Except somebody on the internet figured it out. They always do. They always do. Trump calls for sweeping boycotts. Don't go back to their products until they relent. I mention this again because it's so on the mark. And it's so what I've said. Don't give these companies your money. They're woke, let them go broke. I mean, look, there's going to be companies you can't ban for whatever reason. You got kids, and they love Disney, and you got Disney Plus. I get it. But if you got a choice, you're in the store and you want to buy soda and you got woke Coke and cola, you know, there are other companies. You got Goya, you got My Pillow. Maybe Chick-fil-A. I never quite understood the deal on Chick-fil-A. They held out for such a long time and then they kind of went woke. Sort of, kind of, not really. So, but you got to punish these companies. It's the only way they'll finally turn the tide. When they lose enough money, they will turn. They will say. There's been rumors at Disney for a long time that things have already turned around. Now, maybe because they do things so far out ahead, they're just squeezing the last vestiges of the woke money. but it's gonna snap back. So help hasten that process. If you're looking for something to do, this is so easy. It's so easy not to buy things. I mean, I've asked you to email your congressmen and your senators. And some people do it and some people don't, but you know, it's so easy. You know, figure out who the woke guys are. Don't patronize them. Just say no. I'm not going to buy your stuff. The big news story, this just broke a few hours ago. 533 million Facebook users had private information leaked today. Zuckerberg knew in January and did nothing. This according to the National File. The big tech platform has been silent about the breach since January and remains silent after the information was leaked today. This is big. And I've always said, get off of Facebook, watch yourself on Facebook. You know, I kept my personal information as much as possible off of Facebook. I still refuse to give it my credit card, even though Facebook keeps asking me for 3 cents because they had this like ad thing, and then it was free, and then suddenly like, oh, well, you went over by a little bit, just 3 cents. Just give us your credit card and we'll get that 3 cents. Yeah, right. No thanks. You can send me a letter or something, and I'll mail you the 3 cents if it's that big a deal. But this is big. I mean, 500 million users, and their data's leaked to the public. I hope you didn't put a lot of info on Facebook. Facebook is kind of for old people now. You know, it always sort of has been as of, I'd say 5 years. When you started seeing nothing but obituaries and kids' pictures. I mean, it's certainly not for young people anymore, in my view. People, you know, who are teenagers, they're not on Facebook. They're on like TikTok, you know, and even probably a lot of other platforms I don't even know. You know, my nieces and nephews, they never really got on Facebook. You know, and they're a little older than teenagers now, or older teenagers. Facebook's not a thing for them. They're on other sites. So, yeah, this is. Oh, hey, Joan. Here, come up, say hi. Come up and say hi, you. There she is, little Joan. Little Joan makes an appearance. I thought you were on the couch. Little buddy. Good to see you. So, yeah, this is bad. If you had any personal data, especially your credit card information, you might want to look into getting a new credit card. I don't know. From Yahoo, and I really don't trust Yahoo News, but it says Trump campaign reportedly cheated donors who thought they were making one-time contribution, collecting recurring donations. I don't know if this is true, simply because it comes from Yahoo News. And they've been so anti-Trump, I wouldn't put it past them to not lie outright, but, you know, do one of the media lies where there was sort of some information, or maybe one donor said this and they've blown it up into a whole story. So if it's true, yeah, that's not good, but is it? Who knows? Supreme Court asked to rule schools can't govern off-campus messages. The First Amendment applies even where new technologies amplify speech. The Supreme Court has been tasked to decide that schools are not allowed to regulate the speech of students when they are off campus. The Electronic Frontier filed a brief in a case. Mahanoy area school district, high school student. The student failed to make a varsity cheerleading squad, then posted a derogatory Snapchat statement. Well, that's her Snapchat. It's not the school's. She shared the post over the weekend outside school grounds, but one of her Snapchat connections took a screenshot and shared it with the cheerleading coaches, who suspended BL from the JV squad. The student and her family sued the school. Yeah, that's stupid. Look, that's not nice. I don't think what she did should be supported, and I think these parents are making a bigger deal of it than it is. I mean, suing the school. Thanks. Thanks. That's everybody has to pay for that. But that being said, you know, the school shouldn't have a say. School should be powerless in that regard. You know. But what are you going to do? So it'll be interesting to see how the Supreme Court, man, the case was elevated to the Supreme Court by the school. How much money does this school have that they could go to the Supreme Court? I don't get it. U.S. Third Circuit Court of Appeals held that the school had this limited power to punish students for speech made off campus. Yeah, there you go. I mean, look, they wouldn't even have found this out if some snitch hadn't brought it to the coach, right? So, should have just ignored it. Dumb. Dumb move. More Facebook. Facebook workers are concerned about running Chinese propaganda ads, and they should be. These are ads saying that the Uyghurs, the China Muslim minority in the Xinjiang region, are happy and thriving. They are not. They are neither. They are being tortured. They are in camps. They are being sexually assaulted, tortured, having their organs removed, harvested for other, I assume, Chinese people to, you know, replace their kidneys and organs or whatever. It's horrific what they're doing. And good for you, Facebook staffers, from standing up. See, left, it could work against you too. I wonder how much, you know, the revolution is Facebook going to support now. You know, when people are outside Facebook marching in the streets with their fists held up. I wonder if they suddenly lose their taste for revolution when it's against them. I wonder if Antifa comes and protests, you know, the Facebook offices. Why not, Antifa? I mean, it seems like a good cause. This is a marginalized group. You always claim to be for them. Where are you? Where are you? Aren't you marching in the streets? I don't see it. I don't see it. Is it possible because Facebook would ban you? Facebook would say no, 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 and you'd have to listen because that's what you do. You tools. You useless idiots. All right. Checking the other headlines. Happy dog. Happy dog is happy. All right. Pagan woman suing Panera Bread after being told she will go to hell by assistant manager. Again, not nice, but not illegal, as near as I can tell. Don't see that she has a lawsuit. I mean, can't you just go to a different Panera? Or maybe, you know, write a letter to the company. I'm sure they'd fire somebody and send you a coupon for free bread bowl or whatever. That is very strange that it would go to court. Is Panera standing by this employee? Employees should not be saying stuff like this to people. Okay? They shouldn't. They shouldn't be, you know, they should just be like, here's your bread. You know, and have no opinion on customers while at work. That's part of the deal. Hate to tell you, if you're working, you know, and you don't like the atmosphere and you don't like the customers, your only real recourse is to quit. You know, like a samurai. That's what samurais did. They quit, or they kill themselves. But don't do that. But you just quit. Just quit if you don't like working there. You don't want to serve pagans. Say, I can't serve pagans. I'm sorry. And then off you go. A lawsuit? Okay, whatever. It seems like an incredible waste of money. Pentagon okays third military base to house unaccompanied illegal alien minors amid Biden border surge. Biden, you're a dummy for allowing this to happen. It shouldn't have happened. If you had just kept Trump's stuff in place for a few months and slowly eased out of it, you wouldn't be in this situation. Now you're in you idiot. You stood there and you say, oh, come on in. What did you expect to have happen? You've reversed the entire thing, and now you can't deal with it, and it's killing him. It's killing the Democrats. I mean, you can't ignore this. Oh, you wanted to flip Texas? Yeah, good luck now. The Texans are PO'd. PO'd. They were finally getting some relief from the constant influx of migrants, finally getting things straightened out in a system that was working, and you go F it up and basically say, go F yourselves to everybody in Texas. I guess you think you can use all these illegal aliens to get more votes, but I don't think it's going to work. And in fact, as I've said, I think you're really letting in Republicans at this point, because your ties to the elites, I mean, migrants aren't stupid. You know, when they hear how many jobs Trump created in his day, you know, even illegal aliens were working more. They just couldn't get here. You know, I mean, the ones that were here, they were working nonstop because everybody was hiring. Everybody was hiring. Now it's starting to slow down. Nice job, Biden, you idiot. But you know, it's good, I guess. They opened another base. I mean, at least the base is being used for something good. But, you know, these kids, they're all by themselves. How much are you going to spend trying to reunite them with their parents? And are you going to reunite them in another country? Or are you going to bring them here? Like, it's a big mess. You've made it a big mess, you dummy. And this is on you. You're not going to fix it. People's memory isn't as short as yours, Biden. They're going to remember. Trump is a stark contrast to you. And they're going to remember. Will big tech face a reckoning for the Capitol riot? No. It's as simple as that. They're not. Because big tech isn't facing a reckoning for anything as long as they keep pouring money on Congress. In fact, I heard, I forget who said it. Might have been Sticks and Hammer. It might have been Lotus Eaters. Apparently, Facebook spends the most out of all the big tech places in terms of spending money on Congress and lobbying. Here, I'm going to put you down, Joe. There you go. So no, not unless you break the lobbying of Congress. And Trump was trying to do that some small way, but wasn't having much success. Gee, I wonder why. I wonder why the people accepting money were fighting fighting that. Jordan Prince says he's confined, lashes out at authorities. This is a prince in Jordan. Well, you live in a monarchy. Sorry. Over 100 whales to be killed in Japan as country starts controversial commercial whaling season. I don't like that. The whales have suffered enough from Japan, I think. And also, too, you dumped a bunch of radiation on them from the Fukushima plant. Maybe give the whales a break, Japan. Biden may not be able to ease U.S.-Russian tensions, and he's not the best friend of competitor Europe, veteran German diplomat warns. It's a headline from RT News, so I would take that with a huge grain of salt. You can't really rely on Russia Today for news about Russia, because it's going to be very Russia-centric. However, you know, Biden's not really doing our diplomacy any favors. He just looks weak, and our allies will, of course, say, and rivals will say, oh, he's great, because it's in their interest to say that and act that way. 5 dorms at University of Connecticut under quarantine. So what's new? More beer virus stuff. Gallup poll. Majority of Republican voters view foreign trade as threat to the U.S. Yeah. I mean, certainly China's trade is. It's because, you know, it's a threat to U.S. workers. And China doesn't exactly have good products all the time either. You know, we had a few scares. We had that the dog food scare. A few dogs died, and wasn't there a dog toothpaste scare too? And some other food. The Chinese apparently executed people over it, but who knows if they actually did. Still, we should be out of China. We should be out of China, or at least on our way out. But with 2 stacks Biden, not going to happen. FBI promises to hunt down anyone who lies about taking beer virus vaccine as vaccine passports loom, from the National File. The FBI would totally do this. However, I don't think they have the manpower to, and it looks like, fortunately, the vaccine passport is going to be pushed onto private companies, with the government standing out of it so far. Because I don't think Americans are going to stand for it. But it will probably be so prevalent you're going to need it, but Ticketmaster can't throw you to the feds. What could happen, though, is you could be civilly liable if you knowingly go to a concert and infect a bunch of people. Or if there's big signs saying you have to be vaccinated in order to see this concert, and you lie, then you put people in danger, blah, blah, blah. There would definitely be a case there. They certainly could get you into court. Whether or not the court would agree with you would be another thing altogether. I think this is an empty threat. The FBI is not going to hunt down people because these passports will probably be private and totally optional. But you're probably going to find it incredibly difficult to travel and go to concerts and go to these big venues. But after a while, I think, I don't think all of them are going to adopt it. I think it's just going to be probably airports, mostly. Probably mostly be airports, maybe train stations, and then after that, I think maybe concert venues, maybe. But you think you're going to get your local bar to check vaccine passports? No, I don't think that's going to happen, but you never know. Barack Obama cheers MLB for moving the All-Star game. I don't know why you would, Barack, considering that the woke idiots are coming after you now. They called you an oppressor, and when somebody in Chicago tried to name a school after you. So, I mean, you're the one who talked about a circular firing squad on the left. Who do you think's in that circular firing squad? You are. And they're going to blame you, and they're going to come after you, just like they're coming after Biden. Some of the woke are. They hate him. They just hate Trump more. So I don't know why you're siding with MLB. I mean, really? I mean, you're out of office. Hunter Biden, still in the news, still talking. Could someone just take Hunter aside and say, hey, listen, why don't you just take the year off? You know, go do all the things you've always wanted to do. Go to an island far away. You know, until your dad, you know, gets a handle on things, which will be never. And then, you know, come back and, you know, maybe when he's retired and then do whatever you want. That to me would be a good strategy rather than trying to rebuild his obliterated reputation. I mean, he actually went in an interview and denied the laptop, basically. I mean, he said, it could be mine. Well, let's see. Your lawyer asked for the, according to Rudy Giuliani, asked for the computer back. You signed a receipt for it at the store. You came back to the store, I believe, twice. Once with parts for the computer to be repaired. And you also signed something then, too. You've got the witness in the store that saw you bring in the laptop. You have pictures, video, personal information, personal text from you. It seems like you're a laptop dude. It seems like it's time to finally come clean, maybe, that you are a crack addict and you probably left the computer there. But now there's another interview, apparently, where Hunter Biden says he has no recollection of his encounter with a stripper whom he fathered a child. Now, some of the video on the laptop, unless it's been, you know, unless the Chinese, and it's probably the Chinese. If it's anybody, it's the Chinese, not the Russians. I guess they could have done a deep fake, and done a pornographic movie with an actor who was built like him. Possibly you could say that. I mean, he I guess isn't smart enough to suggest that. However, there are pictures, there are text saying that he talked to his therapist, and his therapist said he was acting sexually inappropriate with a minor in the Biden family. Sounds like his daughter. But, and he's a crack addict and kind of maniac in my view. So what are we talking about here? Why is this guy going on TV? Whose idea was this? Do you really think you could rehabilitate his reputation at this point? Why not just cut your losses? All right? I mean, you think this guy's going to be senator? Are you lining him up for the presidency? I mean, is the Democratic Party that desperate? I mean, Chelsea Clinton, to my knowledge, hasn't smoked crack. I mean, at least if you're going to go with a legacy, go with her. Hunter Biden, to me, really ought to just be in rehab and working on himself, and his father should be helping him, but I don't think he is. So, I mean, this idea that we're going to trot out Hunter and fix the misinformation, after I've seen way too much information. I've seen way too much. And he ain't coming back from this. No way. No way. And, the thing is, the thing with the gun just came out. That was totally new. We didn't know about the gun. What else is going to come out? I mean, you keep pressing this, more stuff is going to come out, Hunter. Just go on vacation. Your father can't make it as president for like another year. Then he's done. And then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do. At that point, no one will care. So rehabilitating, what does it do to rehabilitate your reputation in the press once your father's out of office? It doesn't do anything. He'll be gone, and they'll be hyper-focused on Kamala Harris and her kid, who is a model. And I'm sure, it seems to be doing well at this point. It's just wacky. Wackiness. From LA Times, Chauvin race-baiting defense rooted in ugly stereotypes. No, Los Angeles Times. The defense is winning handily the court case of the Chauvin trial. The prosecution's case is falling apart. It has nothing to do with race baiting. If you followed the Lotus Eaters, Thursday and Friday, they went through a lot of the information, a bunch of new stuff. I mean, the biggest bombshell dropped yesterday, or Friday. Yeah, yesterday. The state's big witness, George Floyd's friend, who said, I'm going to speak for George Floyd. Turns out he may have been his drug dealer, not really his friend, and now he's taken the fifth, and he's not even going to testify. And if he's dragged into court, he'll plead the fifth. Probably because he did sell him the drugs that killed him, and he doesn't want to go to jail. And his lawyers probably said, you might end up in jail if you go to court. So I wouldn't go into court and say you gave him the drugs, or that he was trying to help you and he ate the drugs. I mean, so there was that. There was the EMT on Thursday, I think, who got chastised by the judge, and she was trying to intervene, kind of, but really shouldn't have, and the judge told her that, and everybody kind of told her, like, you don't know what you're talking about. There was the testimony of his girlfriend, and, George Floyd, he's done all these things, he's addicted to drugs, but he still's got a girlfriend, but she I think, is addicted too, because she was taking drugs with him, and, she explained that he had OD'd before. He was foaming at the mouth. They took him to the hospital, and he survived. And that's what happened in the video, apparently. There was a moment where he said, somebody said, are you foaming at the mouth? And the defense, or the prosecution's argument is, since George survived ODing before, he could withstand the fentanyl, which makes no sense because if you OD, you damage your internal organs, probably your heart, and parts of it can necrofy. I knew someone who was a former addict, and part of her heart necrofied, broke off, and nearly killed her. So these drugs do severe damage to your body over a long period of time. So George Floyd looks like he died of an overdose, according to the toxicology report. What are we doing? People are going to riot. $27 million is not going to matter. Look, I feel bad for the family. I'm sure they've been through hell. $27 million is a bit excessive, I think. Certainly, it would have been nice to give them something to help them deal with cost, although I don't think the state is responsible unless you're going to say that the kneeing on him was illegal. Then okay, but that lets Chauvin off the hook. It's really the state's fault then for training him to do that. If he applied the hold correctly, and it seems like he did, according to the autopsy, George didn't have bruises on his neck. He didn't, there would have been signs if he had asphyxiated because of the knee, and there just wasn't. So really the state's at fault then, because they trained him in this and told him this is what he had to do. So, I could see the Floyd family suing the state, and maybe that's why they gave him $27 million and said, here's money, go away. But it's not going to stop the riots. It's not going to stop the riots at all. Wouldn't matter. So I think Chauvin's going to get off now. I'm starting to lean towards that. I think he's going to get completely off. There's going to be chaos. Moscow warns West against sending troops back to the Ukraine. Yeah, this is a dumb idea. The Russians have controlled parts of the Ukraine for centuries, and the Soviets controlled it. They have a long history. It's a bad history. The Ukrainians do not like the Russians, but the Ukrainians also, their government is currently in part run by neo-Nazis, is my understanding. I don't think we want to be involved. Let them sort it out. Eastern Ukraine will probably go into the Russian Federation, and the rest of it will probably return to some sort of Ukrainian state. Because when the Soviets took over the Ukraine, that's what they did. They imported tons and tons of Russians. So all the eastern section of the Ukraine is full of Russian speakers, and Ukrainians were pushed further west. And that's not fair, and that's horrible, and there are a lot of horrible things happened in the Ukraine, but it's not our business. And the Russians are now a federation. It's different. They're not rolling in there to mow everybody down necessarily. It's not our business. It's not our country. Do we really want to risk World War III? I mean, if you're going to risk World War III over something bad, how about the genocide in China? Oh, right, we're making too much money. You see how the priorities are? Black Panther members enter Asian nail salon in Milwaukee, threaten, harass, and terrify Asian workers and customers. That's not good. It's from the Gateway Pundit. It's a video. I'm not sure why the Black Panthers are doing that, but it seems to me that there is some amount of tension between the Asian and black communities, and that needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed. There have been a few incidents, and it's being swept under the rug. Don't sweep it under the rug. Deal with it now, or let it fester, and we're going to be dealing with God knows what in the future. Shortly after turning 18, Dr. Phil Guest and rapper Bad Bobby makes $1 million selling porn pics on OnlyFans. Probably going to regret that later in life, but I mean, at least you got the money, I guess. Um, Russia. Biden regime is promoting cultural revolution, aggression against white people. From National File. Well, that doesn't sound like an incorrect headline. But, you know, it's coming from Putin. He's not really helping the situation by making this statement. That's from the National File. Let's see. From Yahoo News, want to wait in longer than ever voting lines? Then you'll love Texas Senate Bill 7. Yeah, this sounds like Yahoo trying to slam Texas bill for, you know, integrity, election integrity, just like people are slamming the Georgia bill. I'd be perfectly fine waiting in line. I mean, at least where I am, there's hardly ever a line. So if there's a small line, I don't mind. If people need to show their driver's license, I don't care. There should be some bar. A low bar, but some bar. So we know who's voting. DMX is off of life support, breathing on his own after heart attack, lawyer says. Oof, that's terrible. I thought he was a healthy guy. But that's from NBC News. I hope he recovers. I hope he does. Hope he's not doing too many drugs. That would be bad. Suspect in capital attack suffered delusions, source says. From Politico. Source says. Look, anybody who does an attack, whether it be a random shooting or, you know, what this guy did at the Capitol, they're not right in the head. We all know this, I think. But that being said, they're emphasizing that all of a sudden because the narrative says, you know, that's okay when it's only a knife attack and it's not a white shooter. So let's have a consistent way of addressing these incidents. I say you do it dryly as a, you know, a scientific way and stop emphasizing race and everything. I would say, you know, his race is irrelevant. That he's in the Nation of Islam is relevant because I think the attack is politically motivated. Now that he's mentally ill, sure, because mentally ill people are sometimes attracted to extremist views, and they use that as their excuse to do their even more extreme things. CDC says vaccinated people can travel as long as they behave like unvaccinated people. That's from Red State, so I'd take that with a grain of salt, but it wouldn't surprise me. You know, there's this cartoon going around of a guy getting a vaccine, and the nurse says something like, here's your shot, and the guy's like, oh, so I can finally take off this stupid mask, and she goes, nope. Oh, I can finally stop social distancing then. Nope. Well, at least I won't get sick, right? Oh, you still might. Well, I can go back to my life and do the normal things. And she said, nope, still going to be in a lockdown. And then he's like, why did I do this? And she goes, I don't know. So this is part of the problem with the vaccine. I think you could get 100% of the people to take it if you just announced, if you take the vaccine, you can go back to your normal life. Forget the face mask, forget the social distancing. Everything's on. I would probably go get it if that was the case. You know, if you just said, look, get the vaccine and then we're done. Okay. That would be fair, I think. That would be a fair trade-off. Everybody gets the vaccine and then we all go back to our lives like nothing happened. And then next year we deal with it however. But they're not doing that. They're saying, oh, you got to get the vaccine. Oh, but you should still mask up. It's like, what? Yahoo News headline. Here's a headline about a headline. Honestly, Satanism sounds pretty great. Yahoo News featured a commentary this week with a headline that caused many readers to double take. Honestly, Satanism sounds pretty great. Yeah, to some people, I guess, if you listen to you know, the Satanist. You know, it's not something I think I would advertise, though, Yahoo News. But hey, go as woke as you want. Go as left as you want. I don't care. Homes selling faster than ever as prices rise to an all-time high. Well, I guess that's good news. But there was a bubble in the housing market before, and then it crashed. That was bad. So a little worried about that. But maybe it's time for me to sell. Get my money while I can. Cher accused of white savior complex for George Floyd comment. Oh boy, see celebrities, I told you, stay out of it. Why did you have to comment about George Floyd, Cher? What does he have to do with you? Yeah, you thought you were immune, you thought you had millions of fans. One wrong comment and they just turn. It's the fickle hand of fate and of fame. It's the fickle hand of fame, really. Fame can turn on you like that. You know, when I was doing improv, the audience, you couldn't take too many suggestions, right? We experimented with getting suggestions from the audience. We had this idea where the audience could run up and hit a bell and change the scene. And we kind of experimented, but we realized that if we did that, the audience would essentially make us ruin the show just to see if they could do it. And that would happen all the time, even just getting a few suggestions from the audience. They would always shout out, you know, they're trying to shout out the hardest suggestion, but they also would try to ruin the show a lot of times. In that, you know, they're not in the spirit of it. They just want to see, I bet you can't, I bet I'll wreck the show if I say this. It's sort of what cancel culture kind of is in a weird way. Especially when it comes to someone like Cher. I mean, I don't know why. You know, Cher, I guess she was a little political back in the day, but that was back in the hippie days. That was a long time ago. Cher's pretty old. She looks great for her age, but she's up there. But, you know, the social media, it's just, you know, she should just stay off of it, in my view. Boris Johnson offers to set a time limit on vaccine certificates to answer critics' fears. So they're already trying to do this in Europe, and I can only imagine the nightmare of trying to get a vaccine passport in Europe, and then you're gonna have to get another one like every year, or else you can't travel anywhere. I mean, part of it is, you know, the UK left the EU, and the EU is trying to punish the UK, and there's lots of remainers in the UK who are on board with punishing them to the point at which, you know, they're going to make its life so difficult for the UK that maybe they'll come back to the EU if, like, well, if you come back to the EU, then your vaccine passport will be valid, and then, you know, you could travel more freely. So Boris, at least according to the Lotus Eaters, he's not being as Trumpian as you might imagine, unfortunately. He's bent quite a ways to the communists who are in the parliament. Restaurants struggle to find employees despite declining beer virus cases. Well, that's interesting. We're not up full capacity in New Jersey yet, so I don't know if that's the case here. I would probably say no, because we're still at 50% capacity, but a lot of restaurants went out of business. I mean, something like, I think the number was 43%. They're just gone forever. That's a lot of restaurants in New Jersey. We have nothing but restaurants here. Great restaurants, I'll tell you. So, you know, that the restaurants are struggling to find employees. I find that hard to believe because so many of the employees got to be out of work. But then again, they probably have had to find other jobs. But at the same time, New Jersey's unemployment is pretty lucrative. I mean, I knew people who, you know, they got fired or laid off because of the beer virus, and they were making out like bandits. I know one guy made $12K just on his unemployment. I mean, it's crazy. And that was more money than he made at the actual job. Most of these I got in the other one, the Forbidden News thing that I did in Bitchute and Rumble. Oh, this was terrible. Moment police shut down Good Friday service at a Polish church in London for breaching beer virus rules. Can you imagine cops coming in and shutting down a service? I just can't imagine that. That is horrible. Those cops should be ashamed of themselves. And whereas, you know, in the United States, that would be a scandal of monumental proportions. Even now, I think it would be. And there'd be a lawsuit like you wouldn't believe. But the rules there are much more stringent, and they just don't have the freedoms we do. And when you see something like that, you thank God every day you live in America. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar praises MLB moving All-Star Game. This means something to everybody. Oh, that's sad to hear. That's sad to hear because I didn't realize Kareem was woke. But there you go, another woke guy, another member of the woke army, I suppose. Governor Kemp. I guess we should boycott MLB for having a headquarters in New York, which has more restrictive voting laws. Boom! Wow, Kemp actually said something important. Yeah, no one's going to listen to you, dummy. You should have backed Trump. If you had backed Trump, you wouldn't be in this situation. Because they would have had a big investigation back in November-ish for a certain something. And you might be in a completely different situation. You might have a president that actually supports you rather than one that's trying to unseat you and replace you with a blue candidate. So thanks a lot, dummy. You really effed the whole thing up. Let's see. GOP Rep Jeff Duncan moves to strip MLB of antitrust exemption. Good. Good. Go after him, man. It's about time. It's about time the government goes after these companies for getting involved in politics at all. They shouldn't be involved. MLB should just be like, we're baseball. We do things where we do them, and we're not getting involved with your voting. But they had to step in it. Fox News has a headline, study declares AOC one of the least effective members of Congress. I don't know about that. She is very influential in her own way. I guess she's least effective within Congress. I would agree with that because I don't think anybody in Congress listens to her. But her profile outside of Congress is pretty high. She's got a lot of people following her. Breakthrough. U.S.-Iran nuclear talks will finally be held on Tuesday in Vienna. Good. I hope that works out. I don't have high hopes for it with Biden administration running things, but we'll see. Hopefully they're not going to try bribing them again. There was another shooting in North Carolina. Terrible. And I think we're just about at the end here. Georgia lawmakers passed bill set to defund police limits, putting families in those communities at risk. What? Well, basically, you can only defund the police 5% at most in 1 year. So that's a good thing, I think, because it keeps them from doing what Minneapolis did, which was terrible. And that's about it. I think we're done. We're done. Is it enough? Is it enough news for you? Oh my God, it's the weekend. Can the woke take a weekend off for once? Can you go do whatever woke idiot things you people do? And just leave us with some semblance of a civilization for just one more weekend? I mean, will it kill you? Will it kill you not to destroy Western civilization for one weekend? Maybe go have a barbecue or something. I'm Tony D. I'm out of here. We'll see you tomorrow.